crafters, it's Kathy here, Scrap and Bean, for another Try It Tuesday. So for this Tuesday, I have pulled out these Metallic Flakes. They've come under a few different names over the years. These are called the same thing. These are called Cosmic Shimmer Aurora Flakes. So you'll find them under our website under a few different names. The typical colors were the gold, the silver, the copper, and a mixture of those. So like this one here, you can get the 3 colors all together in one jar. Or you can get them in solid, the gold color, the copper. Here's the copper and the gold together. And then we have a whole line that just came in of these where they're brighter colors. So there's a lot of variety. So I thought we'd just play with some of that tonight. There's many different ways that you can work with these. Really what you're looking for is some kind of adhesive to put them down. So you can use liquid glue. You could use your double-sided tape. You can use sheets of sticky so that you could die cut your sticky sheets. Just a plethora of ways to do it. And we do have several samples of those variety of ways in the store to show you. But today we'll put together, I'll start with just a sampling of what you can do, and then we'll see if we can't actually make a project out of it. So one of the things you can do is use these sheets of Suquang because it's double-sided adhesive. So I'm just going to do a small piece here. I happen to have, it doesn't matter what color cardstock you use because it's going to be covered up, but I just happen to have this scrap handy. So I'm going to just cut a piece of adhesive that will cover, well, let's say it'll cover most of my scrap. So you want it to cover most of your piece of paper, and then what I would do is cut, once I've put the flakes on, I would cut my sheet down to the size of the adhesive. So with this, it's just got a protective coating on the front and the back. So I'm going to expose, this is all sticky now. And we'll get it down here without having it stick to too many other things, hopefully. And I don't have it on there perfectly straight, you can see, but that's why I would just trim it down to the size I want after I've got the flakes on there. Oh, and here, as I threw this aside, I just thought of another idea. So let's try this. So I'm going to, so now we have this down, our cardstock, our sticky. Now I'm going to expose this sticky piece here. And actually it might even work to, maybe I don't need that. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking out loud because I just got an idea. It's not quite long enough. Okay, but I can go in half. So you can use this as a mask as well. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll just, it just happens to fit like that, so that's what we're going to do. Just to give you an idea of what you can do with it. So we'll mask that, and then I'm going to put on just a couple of these, maybe the copper flakes. So they're going to stick to where my adhesive is exposed there, right? Now when you open the jar of this, these are really light, like they'll just float away. So you want to make sure that you're not coughing or I have a ceiling fan on because they will travel on you. But otherwise, they're pretty good, right? They're it's not like they're going to take off. They need to be blown away to get them moving. So I'm just going to press that down gently, press it into my adhesive. Sometimes it comes out in large sheets like this, and sometimes it'll come out of your jar in just smaller pieces, and they're all good. We gather up any extras and I just put them back into the jar so I can... I'm just going to give you an idea because, well, I shouldn't say I'm going to give you an idea. I'm going to try out this idea because it just kind of came to me as I was pulling that adhesive protective coating off the adhesive, that why not try it? Oh, I've got one more little corner exposed here. So, and when you have like the extra, so it's bigger than what I need, it's just going to come off there. And I have a little piece of adhesive exposed here, so I just take a little scrap piece, cover that up so that all my adhesive is done. So I'm just lightly rubbing that with my finger. And then you can recapture this, which really I should have put it on, used a piece of paper down there to capture that. And then you can still see I've got some extra on there. So there's a few things you can do to get the rest of it off. You can buy these little, what they call scoochies, which is kind of a fun name. It looks like it's wiry, but it's really not. It's very, very soft. And you just go over it and it'll take off all those little bits that are like the extra pieces not touching the adhesive. If you don't have one of these, what I have discovered what else works really well is these. These are the little foam bits that go on the end of the Tim Holtz ink applicator here. These little foam bits, and I just use the back side. So the side that you do not put the ink on. It's just this black, it's got little loops there, but it's quite soft, but it's a little bit textured, and if I just go lightly with that, I find that works too. And I think all of us have one of those, or several of those hanging around. So if you rub it a lot, I do notice that some of the shine disappears. You can actually scratch it. And if you want that shine to stay, then just don't rub it too much. But now once it's rubbed in there, you can see it's down into that adhesive. It's not coming off now. So if you were to make a project of this, this isn't going to keep flaking off later. It's stuck on there good. So now I just want to get some of that out of my way here. I'll put the jar back on because I want to switch colors. Just to show you how you can use a mask. So this I was just using as a temporary mask to cover up that section, right? And this is just a boring square. It's not even or anything. Just ignore all that. This is just to show you an idea. But what you can do is take this or this. These are both the protective pieces that we pulled off our adhesive. Run it through your die cut machine in whatever shape you want. Shape of a butterfly, a flower, a balloon, whatever die cuts you have, and use that shape as your mask. Try it. And then now that we've exposed that, I can put a different color on the center. So what if we just go with some gold on there? Just so that you can see a contrast of what happens. So if I'm covering a whole area like that, oh, here's nice big ones. Okay, so there's a couple layers there. And it does have a certain amount of like static cling to it, so it'll cling to your hands a certain amount. And once it touches that adhesive, it's not going to come back up. All those little pieces, I'm going to use all of that too. And here I've got a whole nother sheet. And it's okay if they overlap. You can see some of those are overlapping. So when they overlap, parts of them will not be touching the adhesive, and that's okay. That's part of what rubbing them back off does. So I'm just pressing them lightly down into that adhesive. Move some of these extras around to stick. You need some more on there. And a little bit more even. And a little piece over here. Okay, so that's got it. My adhesive is all covered, but you can see all this extra. Let's see if I can get it onto the camera. You see, it's not flat. It's all dimensional and sticking up. So I want all of those pieces to come off. So I'm just going to rub it lightly with this. This is with using the back side of that ink applicator sponge. And I'm just going to go over that lightly, and it's going to take off all the extra. You can see all these little bits here that it's taking off. And if you did that over a scrap piece of paper, you could certainly dump that back into your jar. A few little area there that needs to have some off. There you go, and now you have all this nice shiny surface. Oh, I'm not getting that in the right spot. There we go. And you can see we got a contrast of a couple colors there. Now, of course, you'd put more thought into your design and get a nicer looking thing there. Nicer looking design going. And then you can recapture all those little pieces because you can use those again. I save them even though they get pretty small because you just need them to stick in your adhesive. And then what else could you do? Okay. Oh, this would be quite the disaster if that's a card. But anyways, I'm going to show you something else you can do is just use your double-sided tape. So just like I was using a Sukwang sheet on there, you could run this up the side of your card as if it's like a ribbon or the edge of your scrapbook page. So this is just double-sided adhesive, and it doesn't have to be Sukwang. That just happens to be the one I use all the time, and so I have it handy. But any tape runner, doesn't matter what brand you have, you just need something sticky. So same thing with here. We'll use that because it's sitting out here. Oh, I'm using way lots. Take off a little bit of that excess. And you can see it's a little bit messy, but really not that bad. And then you take the back side of my foam again and just clean that up. And there you've got a nice design. So that works too if you want just like a gold ribbon going down the side of the edge of your project. The other thing you can do is just make a little embellishment. These are the foam squares, adhesive squares. And I do have a card up in the store that's got where I use these just for an embellishment. Now normally I would use, instead of the white ones, I would use black. The reason being is because we're still going to see this edge. And on this, because the edge is not sticky, the flakes aren't going to stick to it. So we're going to see white there. And I think it would look better, especially against a black project, to have it showing black instead of white. So if I was doing this on a real project, I would use the black. And again, you can overlap it. You know, you can use small pieces on there. It doesn't have to be a sheet, even though it came out of there. It came out of the jar looking like it was a nice big sheet. And then rub it with this, and that just takes all the, see how fast that just takes off all that excess so quick and easy. So you could have that like your little embellishment on there too. So it's anything sticky. You just need something sticky, and it's gonna your flakes are gonna stick to it. So here you can see where it's got the little white edges, and I think that would look much better if that was black. It would look more like an embellishment and less as if you had used a foam adhesive square, which is what I actually did there. Okay, so I'll put my lid on that, and then let's make a card here and a stencil. This happens to be the Carabella stencil. What's it called? Foliage, but kind of in a French foliage. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyways. Here's the name if you're looking for it on the website. It is this, can we even see it? I can't get it in the right light. So it's Feillage. And I'll put that in the links below the video. So to get that to hold on there, I am just going to, let's see, should I put, I better use my pixie spray to hold it down. So shake that up. And then I'm just going to spray that over the back of my stencil. Find which one's the back, over the garbage can. And then that will stick nicely to my cardstock. My cardstock's a little bigger than the stencil, but that's fine. I'm just going to line it up on one edge. And I'm going to use a piece of foam, but not that piece. Okay, so I have a little piece of foam here because I'm just going to throw it out when I'm done, rather than trying to wash glue out of it. So I'm going to put down my glue onto my craft mat. This is called, well, they have it gliding glue, but I think they meant gilding glue. We'll see if their next batch comes out with a different name. And I just don't want globs on here. I want it to be more kind of even and flat. And then I'm going to put that through my stencil. And I'm going to need some more. I always like to keep the lid on my glue just to make sure it doesn't start drying out on the tip, because I don't like any of my glue bottles to get clogged, so I try to keep the caps on. And the glue kind of starts off white, so actually it shows up a little bit. I can kind of tell where I've put it. Maybe I'll try leaving that cap off in case I need some more. So I'm putting actually a fairly generous amount of glue on here. Not sure that I need that much, but we'll see what happens. And I've gone over my stencil here, so I'm going to have some of it sticking down there, obviously. Oh, that's nice and sticky. Okay, so then I'm going to peel that off of there. And because I have glue all over my stencil, I'm going to go wash it right away. So you can probably see on here that design in the glue. So you can see it's there. It came off nice. And then I'm just going to let that tack up for a little bit. So we'll let that tack up, and then I will wash this off. Because it's glue, I want to get it off there right away. And then we'll come back. Okay, so I think that's... Hopefully I've let it sit long enough that it's just tacky. Well, we're going to try a corner of it anyways. And I really like the look on all projects of when you put just a solid gold on black. So, although this one might look nice too with because it's leaves, but we'll go with this gold. And you can see I've used a lot of that. A little bit of this goes a long ways, but I have certainly used a lot of my gold. So some of these jars, again, they'll come out in pretty large pieces. Other times you got some pretty small pieces, and they all work. If they're large like this, I kind of want to unfold them. Add a few there together. And that seems like it got tacky enough because it's sticking. Now you could, if you wanted to, just dump your whole jar out and then, you know, put the excess back in again. I might not even have enough gold to do this whole piece. Oh yeah, here's a whole bunch of layers together. Of course I will. Of course it will work. It will be fine. If anything can happen, it happens when you're on video. That's like Murphy's Law of doing videos. If you're going to spill your embossing powder, oh, you gals have seen me do that on video. Life happens even when you're recording it. Okay. Some spots here I think I didn't get. I do want to get them all. So right now that looks like a hot mess, eh? Oh, you can see a couple of little leaves. You can see a little bit of the details coming through. It's kind of fun to see the reveal come up. So those large chunks there, I'm just going to recapture some of that. Put those back in my jar. You can tell where I got some glue on my... Actually, that would look nice on your nails to put that in design, eh? Of little flecks. Maybe. Okay, so I'll just rub it with my fingers to get kind of the bigger pieces off. And again, I've noticed that when you rub it if you rub it a lot, or if you rub it aggressively or press hard, it tends to dull that shine a little bit. So I don't want to overdo it. Then I'm just going to take this little foam from the ink applicator and just pretty gently, and you can see, you can watch the details just show up there. And sometimes it looks like here, like as if it's not going to give you a good sharp edge, but then it does. And I'm not rubbing hard, I just go very gently. So start off real gentle. If it doesn't come off, you can just put a little bit more pressure on there, but I'm certainly not, I'm not scrubbing like I would scrub dishes, that's for sure. It's just very gentle. Doesn't take much to get it to come off, because it's the glue that's holding it on there. Wow, and I'm impressed with that glue. That was really easy to work with. So, you know, sometimes you can make do with what you already have, and you know, certainly if you already have a glue that tacks up nice, it'll probably work for you. But if you plan on doing a lot of these metal flakes, I would certainly invest in a bottle of this glue. I mean, you can use it as a regular glue for other things as well, but it sure works nice for this. So sometimes it's just easier to have the proper tools, right? Just gives you more success, easier success. And we always want things to work out. There we go. So I need to trim it and clean up my edges, but look at that. Ooh, I like that gold on black. Now I kind of want to try it with this color here though too. Well, maybe we should just do that and see what it turns out like, but I really like that gold on black. Wow. That's sharp. Okay, so some of this here I could actually capture, because even these smaller pieces here, they're totally going to work. Oh, I got some glue there. Let's dump it back in my jar. I can totally use those pieces. I might as well put this back in there. And maybe clean that up just a little bit, so when I do my next color, I'm not combining them. Although, you know, some of these where the colors are already combined, it gives you a nice effect. Okay, so maybe just to neaten this one up, let me just trim that a bit. See if I can do that kind of evenly. Or should I go right to the very, yeah, maybe I'll have it so that that color goes right to the edge. So that the stencil design is going right off the piece. I really like, and I like that, the black on gold, and I actually really like that stencil. Sometimes what you imagine things to, what they're going to look like, and they don't always look exactly like you imagine, but I'm even happier with that. I really like that. Can you tell? I just kind of want to set it down and mat it on black. I think that'd be very sharp. Okay, let's see. Move on, Kathy, move on. Let's try that again, but with this other color. What do I have for... Maybe I can make that into a card. Maybe I could. Oh, my stencil's in the sink. Okay, so I just means I need to come up with another stencil. How about a little spray of leaves? You can tell I don't always clean my stencils. So if we do a little spray of leaves on here. Maybe like that. Okay, we'll just try that. This is just for trial anyways, just to see what our little technique looks like. So I'm going to put some glue out on here, grab my same, and I'm not even sticking down my stencil this time, so I'm going on faith. And I see my little stencil's kind of broken right there. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, that's a small piece, so it goes pretty quick. But yeah, you can see the glues on there. And where my stencil was broken, I see I got kind of a glob, so it's not gonna come out in very good detail there, but we'll try it anyways and see what happens. I must have cleaned my stencil a little bit too aggressively there, so it's got a break in it. But while that's just kind of tacking up, let's try, what else do I have? I'm kind of having fun with this, so like, why not keep going? What else do we have? Oh, I have a new stencil I got. Where is it? I'm hunting on my craft desk because it's a mess. Look at this, fish scales. Ooh, that would be... Now, do I do it on black or do I do it on white? Maybe I should do it on white for a change. Surely I have a piece of white cardstock. Okay, let's try that. I think I need a fresh piece of white paper. Just gonna cut this down. Now I have glue on there. I gotta remember to put that in the water. So we'll do some fish scales or mermaid scales on there. So I'm just gonna cut this to card front size, or maybe even smaller. I'll do it card front size, and then we can always make it smaller. Alrighty. So this scale, what's it called? Medium fish scale stencil. Love it. Kind of gives me that feeling of mermaid. Now, do we go that way or do we go that? I think I'm going to go this way, and I don't want it to be super uniform, so I'm just going to do like a cross section. We'll see how that goes. Well, obviously I'm going to need more than that. I keep running out all the time, so I need to be a little more generous. And what did I do with my sponge? Uh-oh. Betty, see what I did with my sponge? It's got glue on it, so it's going to be stuck to something. Okay, so I'm just going to hold the stencil there this time. And I'm going to try and do a bit of a irregular pattern. Just so it doesn't have straight edges on it. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so let it tack up. It's a little bit harder to see where it is because it's white on white, but in person I can see where the glue is. And by now this one is probably tacked up, I think so. Gotta wash those, don't forget. And get rid of this glue or my flakes are gonna stick in that. My glue is closed. Okay, I think we're ready to go. That one's gotta be set aside out of the way. Put some paper down here. And I want my little sponge ready. Now, because I've got glue on my fingers, you can see it's all sticking on my tips there, but that's okay. And this one you can see the flakes are much smaller. There's a few big ones in there. Just going to spread that out with my finger first. And of course you got glue on your finger, now it's going to really stick to your finger too, but that's okay. It's kind of a beautiful mess. There, and I don't feel any more sticky, so I think I have all the glue covered. Take off some excess with my fingers, and then take the back side of my ink applicator. So this is turning out to be a lot more green. I thought that would be kind of equal parts of blue and green and silver, but it seems like I ended up with more green on there, so it's perfect for leaves. But you can certainly see the blue and the silver peeking through. Oh, I quite like that. And then where my stencil was broken, I've lost the detail of the design there, so time for a new stencil on that one. And I've got little bits just to clean off there. So that's kind of cool. I'm liking that with the green for anything leafy or anything really. That's kind of neat. And yeah, you could even put a double-sided tape all around the edges and then put this colored border on your edges too. That would work. It just doesn't end, and once you have this stuff out, you might as well keep playing with it, eh? Now, has our little scales here, I wonder if that's tacked up enough. It feels kind of tacky. Can I capture some of that on there? Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, let's just spread that out on there. Oh, how beautiful. How beautiful. So it almost looks like that one side of the jar might have had more blue on it. So I'll try to get some of that going on here. I suppose that's why they have these colored ones in smaller pieces so that you can get kind of equal parts of all the colors. Oh yeah, I can't really even talk with this stuff out here because it just wants to blow away. I can feel some sticky right there, so there's still glue exposed. Now there's a big chunk in there. So it looks like all the brands have some bigger pieces, smaller pieces. But these smaller ones, I can see they are, well, you can see they are much messier. But the colors are just beautiful. Okay, let's take some of the excess because I really loaded it on there. Now, I'm going to try and recapture some of that so I have a little bit less of it on my work surface. It's hard to even get it to fit back into the jar. Looks like my jar is still right full. Okay, and then what happens, so you can see on here, I mean, it's a beautiful mess, but you don't see any details of the fish scales. But we'll start working on it here and just go nice and light. I think this fish tail stencil would show up nice on the black or even a blue background. I like the metallics against a dark color, so we'll see what it turns out like with against a white background too. And you can see those scales starting to show up, the details, and with the multicolor, it looks really nice. Oh, I love this stencil. This is the first time I've used it, but I really like those scales. Okay, so this is interesting. What I'm noticing on this, maybe I'm pressing a little bit too hard or maybe my sponge is too dirty, but my white cardstock in the background is no longer solid white. It has taken on the colors of some of the foils here, which is okay, but good to know that that's... Now I would try it with a different brand of white paper just to see if that, maybe it's the paper that makes it happen that way, or maybe it's the foil itself. One of those things to experiment with. Okay, this is definitely messier than the large flakes, for sure. But sometimes a mess is worth it. Not for the faint of heart, though. When I work with something messy like this, I like to do several at the same time, so it makes it worth cleaning up the mess. Okay, so I like that. What I would do different another time is, see on this side here where I have it very irregular, this one's almost a straight line. I don't care for it where it's a straight line. I like it like this where it's very irregular. So I would on purpose do that the next time. But if you do like it to be straight, you can certainly do that with a stencil. So I hope you give those a try. It certainly gives you this nice, beautiful metallic shine. Happy crafting!